If Germany knew it was going to fight a massive war that would be decided by factories as much as by soldiers, why didn't it just choose one solid tank design and produce it in huge numbers? The idea sounds logical. Fewer models mean simpler training, fewer spare parts, easier repairs, and faster production. Other countries did exactly that, and it worked. So why didn't Germany? The answer starts before the war even began. German tank development was never built around the idea of a long industrial war. Early German military thinking focused on short, fast campaigns. Tanks were meant to support rapid movement, break through defenses, and help encircle enemy forces. They were not seen as long-term equipment that needed to be produced unchanged for many years. Because of that, early German tanks were designed with the expectation that they would be replaced or heavily modified as new situations appeared. This approach seemed justified in the early years. The invasions of Poland and France reinforced the belief that adaptability was more important than mass production. German tanks were not always better than their opponents' tanks on paper, but they were used in a coordinated way that made them effective. Success created confidence, and that confidence shaped future decisions. Instead of asking how to simplify production, German planners focused on how to respond to new battlefield challenges as they arose. Everything changed when Germany invaded the Soviet Union. The appearance of the T-34 and K-1 came as a shock. These tanks were not just tough, they were designed from the start for large-scale production. Sloped armor, wide tracks, and a powerful gun made the T-34 especially effective, and Germany suddenly found itself behind. At that moment, German tank development became reactive. New designs were created to defeat specific enemy tanks, not to streamline manufacturing. This reaction produced some of the most famous tanks in history, but it also locked Germany into a cycle of complexity. The Panther was developed quickly to counter the T-34, but it was rushed into service before it was fully reliable. The Tiger was designed to dominate through armor and firepower, not to be produced in the thousands. Each new tank solved a tactical problem, but added enormous strain to production, maintenance, and logistics. As tanks grew heavier and more complex, their weaknesses multiplied. Larger guns required bigger turrets and stronger suspension systems. Thicker armor, stressed engines and transmissions that were already operating near their limits. Manufacturing tolerances became extremely tight, which meant parts were often not interchangeable. A tank breaking down at the front could not always be fixed with available tools and spare parts. Many vehicles had to be sent back to factories if they could be recovered at all. At this point, the idea of simply choosing one good tank became unrealistic. Germany had already invested heavily in multiple production lines, each specialized for different models. Switching to a single design would have required shutting down factories, retooling equipment, retraining workers, and reorganizing supply chains, all while fighting a total war. Countries like the United States could afford this because their industrial base was enormous and relatively safe from attack. Germany's industry was smaller, more fragile, and increasingly under constant bombing. Leadership made the situation worse. Tank development decisions were spread across military offices, industrial firms, and political leadership. There was no single authority pushing hard for standardization. Adolf Hitler frequently intervened in design decisions, demanding thicker armor, more powerful guns, and last-minute changes. Each change disrupted production and delayed delivery. A design that is constantly being modified can never be produced efficiently at scale. There was also a deeper cultural issue. German engineering culture valued technical superiority. The idea of building a tank that was merely good enough went against this mindset. Designers aimed for excellence, not simplicity. The belief was that a superior tank could compensate for being outnumbered. In theory, one Tiger could defeat several enemy tanks. In reality, war punished breakdowns, fuel shortages, air attacks, and simple mechanical failures far more harshly than theoretical performance advantages. Raw materials added another constraint. Germany lacked easy access to large supplies of oil, rubber, and certain metals. Heavier tanks consumed more fuel and wore out parts faster. Even if Germany had chosen a single tank design, keeping it running in large numbers would have been difficult. Allied bombing campaigns disrupted transportation networks and factories, making consistent output nearly impossible. By contrast, the Allies made a different set of compromises. They accepted designs that were not perfect. Tanks like the Sherman were easier to build, build, easier to repair, and reliable enough to keep moving. Losses were expected and planned for. A tank that could be quickly replaced was more valuable than a tank that was hard to destroy but rare and difficult to maintain. Germany never fully made that mental shift. Its tank program was shaped by early success, sudden shocks, fragmented leadership, engineering culture, and industrial limitations. Each decision made sense in isolation. Together, they created a system where choosing one tank and producing it by the thousands was no longer possible. In the end, Germany didn't fail to standardize because it didn't see the logic. It failed because by the time the logic became obvious, the system it had built could no longer change direction. The war moved faster than Germany's ability to simplify, and complexity became a burden it could not escape.